Hey, how's everybody doing? Hey, sunshinery. Yeah, there. See, I figured that out. Yeah, I figured that out. You see, I would figure it out. Well, Jackie, I actually had a problem. See, I actually did the first intro before I hit the go live button on StreamYard. Yeah, maybe me being a streamer is not a good thing, right? Right? Yeah. Hey, Adele. Okay. How do I do this? Yeah, I know, sunshinery. I know. Yeah, well, we've learned something new today, haven't we? Okay, so I hear everybody making fun of a certain person who, let's be honest, we all don't know how to pronounce certain words at every given moment in time. We don't. Okay, I don't. I admit that I'm not a connoisseur of every word in the world or how to pronounce every word in the world. And usually I make up my own words when I can't pronounce something. But then you've got other people saying, well, people don't identify as this, or you can't say a certain word or whatever. So this video today is going to clarify a few things. Now, I am not going to be able to do the history part of this, so I'm going to do a part 2 tomorrow before Dottie goes live. So the part 2 will be the history of how our community came to be. And it's a very interesting one. It is. Some of you may find it fascinating. Some of you may not find it interesting at all. And hey, Margaret, I hope you're doing good. And my biggest cleavage is that if you are not part of our community, don't assume that certain words are offensive to us or certain ideologies are offensive to us. People in the LGBT community are on a wide range of spectrums. There are conservatives, there are Democrats, there are liberals, there are communists, there are fascists. There are so many people that belong to the LGBT community that we may not share the same ideologies or ideas, but we do agree that we, as who we are, have the right to exist. We have the right to be who we are. And that's pretty much what our community is about. Now, our community is fractured. Every community has a problem. Ours isn't perfect, but we try to make it work. Sometimes with disastrous results, but we do make it work. Oh my God, she's going after Duncan again. Lord. So today's video is going to be about LGBT, what it means, how it got started in the shortest way possible, because I don't have that much time today. So I apologize, everybody, for that. But I've had some things pop up, so I apologize. But I did promise a video, and here I am. Now, I have to go over here, and I have to go here, go here, go here, go here. All right. Share this. All right. Now, before I get started on this, I will say this, that there are, I really did not know this, okay? I really did not know this, but there are so many acronyms for LGBT that it doesn't matter which way you have the words. It really doesn't. I've actually found a lot of words different than what is here. For instance, I found it where it said LBGT instead of LGBT. They swapped the B and the G. I did not know that, but apparently it's a thing. Who knew? So, like I said, to the so-called people who think they know everything about us, get off your high horse. Okay? Get off your high horse. This is an education lesson. Okay? Hats on, people. Hats on. Hey, Pope. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Laura. So we're going to start with this. And I hope that I do this topic justice, because it does describe who I am and what community I belong to. LGBT is an initialism that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. In use since the 1990s, the initialism, as well as some of its common variants, function as an umbrella term for sexuality and gender identity. It may refer to anyone who is non-heterosexual or non-cisgender, instead of exclusively to people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. To recognize this inclusion, a popular variant, LGBTQ, pay attention to this Q part. Doubters and non-believers, you know who you are. Adds the letter Q for those who identify. Yes, identify. And I will reiterate this one more time. Those who identify as queer. Okay? You see that? See that? See right there. Or are questioning their sexual or gender identity. The first widely used term, homosexual, now carries negative connotations in the United States. Gay became a popular term in the 1970s. As lesbians forged more public identities, the phrase gay and lesbian became more common. A dispute as to whether the primary focus of their political aim should be feminism or gay rights led to the dissolution of some lesbian organizations, including the Daughters of Bilitis, which disbanded in 1970. Following disputes over which goal should take precedence. Now, this is what I believe, okay? I think gay rights should take precedence over other issues, because once you have the gay rights established, then you will have the energy to focus on something that is more personal than you. And when you're focusing on something that is personal to you rather than something as a whole, you tend to get lost in what you were really trying to accomplish to begin with. But that is my opinion. As equality was a priority for lesbian feminists, disparity of roles between men and women, or butch and femme, were viewed as patriarchal. Lesbian feminists issued gender role play that had been pervasive in bars, as well as the perceived chauvinism of gay men. Many lesbian feminists refused to work with gay men or take up their causes. Once again, this is wrong. We're all fighting for a better good. If you refuse to fight along the same group of people, you're fighting against them, and you're also fighting against yourself. There is an old saying, united we stand, divided we fall. That is still a word that can be used to describe a lot of communities within the gay community. And our community is technically fractured because so many people have different ideas what their causes should be or what cause they should support, which is wrong. I think, like I said, I think everybody should work together for the basic rights and then worry about everything later. Lesbians who held the essentialist view that they had been born homosexual and used the description lesbian to define sexual attraction often considered the separatist opinions of lesbian feminists to be detrimental to the cause of gay rights, which is true. Bisexual and transgender people also sought recognition as legitimate categories within the larger minority, community. After the elation of change following group action in the 1969 Stonewall riots in New York City in the late 1970s and early 1980s, some gays and lesbians became less accepting of bisexual or transgender people. Now, I'm going to interrupt this again because people may not know this. There is still a huge stigma against bisexual and transgendered people who are part of our umbrella. There is. And that's wrong. But there are still people today who don't believe bisexuals or transgender people belong in our community. And like I said, that is completely wrong. They should be accepted, not castrated. Critics said that transgender people were acting out stereotypes and bisexuals were simply gay men or lesbian women who were afraid to come out and be honest about their identity. Once again, this is actually true. It still goes on today. And one of the things that that you will see in this one, is that another reason why a lot of gays don't like transgender is because they don't feel that they are gay or straight. For example, a male to female woman, it is going to be a woman who loves a man, or a female to male is going to love a woman. And whether or not who they choose to love, we're castrating a group of people on who they are and who they want to be. We were vilified for that. And in some communities, bisexuals and transgender people are vilified. Like I said, our community is not great. It's not, it's got holes in it. But there are some out there that are really trying to include everybody. Each community has struggled to develop its own identity, including whether and how to align with other gender and sexually based communities, at times excluding other subgroups. True. These conflicts continue to this day. True. LGBTQ activists and artists have created posters to raise consciousness about the issue since the movement began. From 1988, activists began to use the initialism LGBT in the United States. Not until the 1990s within the movement did gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people gain member groups. Bisexual and transgender individuals in particular have sometimes been marginalized by the larger LGBT community. The term LGBT has been a positive symbol of inclusion. And once again, that still goes on today, where some people are marginalized by the larger LGBT community, which is sad. We're supposed to be a positive symbol of inclusion. Well, how can it be a positive symbol of inclusion if you're marginalizing people? That's a question. I don't expect an answer on that one. That's a question. Despite the fact that LGBT does not normally encompass all individuals in smaller communities, which is true, the term is generally accepted to include those not specifically identified in the four-letter initialism. Okay, now I'm going to take a break from here, and I will explain this. Okay, I'm going to explain this. The reason why it doesn't encompass everybody is because within our community, there are people who identify as non-binary. There are people who define themselves as asexuals. There are people who identify themselves as hold on. Pansexuals. There we go. Pansexuals. There we go. There are so many acronyms within our community that people identify with that we are at a stage in our community. If you did not know this, this is actually true. Okay? This is actually true. All right? So here's something about us. There are people who want to change the acronym to include everybody into it. Okay, they want to include everybody under the umbrella. But then you've got other people that say that LGBT is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. It's an umbrella for everybody. I can understand both points of view because you want to feel like you're inclusive. You want to feel like you're part of the team. You want to feel that you have your own identity that maybe you don't define with under the LGBT umbrella. But on the other hand, I also understand that if you make it too long, it becomes absolutely ridiculous. So you have to tread lightly. You know, like I said, you know, it's an umbrella term. And once we get down to the bottom, you'll understand what things have been done to help include other people. But I do believe everybody has the right to their own identity. Whether or not we agree with that identity, everybody has the right to their own identity. If we deny people who they truly are, whether they're asexual, non-binary, we are no better than the bigots who tell us that we don't have the right to be who we are. At least that's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. Okay. From about 1988, activists began to use the term LGBT in the United States. Not until, there we go. Not until 1990s when the movement did gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people gain equal respect. This spurred some organization to adopt new names, as the GLBT Historical Society did in 1999. Although the LGBT community has seen much controversy regarding universal acceptance of different member groups, bisexuals and transgendered individuals in particular have sometimes been marginalized. Oh, wait, I think I read that part already, didn't I? Ooh, I think I got sidetracked. Yeah, I think I read that one already. Oh, well, you know what? There's a repeat of it. Despite the fact that the LGBT does not nominally encompass all individuals in smaller communities, the term is generally accepted to include all those, not specifically identified in the four-letter initialism. Overall, the use of the term LGBT has, over time, largely aided in bringing otherwise marginalized individuals into the general community. Transgender actress Candace Cain in 2009 described the LGBT community as the last great minority, noting that we can still be harassed openly and be called out on television. Okay, so I actually did some digging. On here, and I don't know if anybody knows this. Yeah, I already said that night. If you back up a few a few seconds ago, yeah, we're going to also go down, and I'm going to explain more about that too. But here's the thing: even though we are a protected group in the United States, I gotta mute my microphone. Hold on, 1 second. Polyamorous. It means having more than one partner. If that's the piece she's referring to. Because I know some people want to add polyamorous to it. Yeah, I was right. Go me. I was right. 1 second. Okay. Talk amongst yourself for a few seconds. I'll be. Just talk. Be right back. Okay, now, I'm sorry about that. My apologies. Okay, so even though we are a protected group in the United States, we are still vilified. We can actually still get fired from our jobs for who we are. We cannot get married everywhere we want to because a lot of churches do frown on who we are. We can lose our homes. People can literally deny us the right to have an apartment. They literally can. Even though we are a protected group, there is currently no federal law or laws that protect us as a group. Right now, we are dependent upon states to protect our rights. And that's not how it should be. We should have the same federal protections as heterosexuals do. Unfortunately, we do not. We don't have that luxury. When people say our lives are great, things have, gone really far. They have gone far, but they have not gone far enough. We don't, in a lot of states, we don't even have the right to adopt children. We don't even have the right to, and I want to point this out. This is how messed up this is, okay? There are states that actually make it illegal for a gay man or a gay woman to go out and hire a surrogate mother to have a child for them. They make that illegal. They have made that illegal. So not only if you're gay, you can't adopt, but you also can't hire a surrogate to go out and have a kid for you. Adele, in some states, gay marriage is not legalized. So if your partner, so let's say my partner dies tomorrow, I will not have no right to my partner's inheritance. It will go straight to his family. It will be up to his family to decide if I get anything at all. Once again, we are dependent on states protecting us as an individual, but not every state protects us. The government still is behind on passing laws. What use is marriage if you cannot share your life with your partner? It goes down to that. You spend your entire life with one person, yet there are no protections at the federal level that gives you any type of right to anything. Yeah, like I said, we're learning a lot of things over here. We're learning a lot of things over here. So when outsiders say that we got everything we wanted, we don't have everything that we want. Huh. What, you think we only wanted the right to marry somebody? No. There's a lot more that we want. And to be honest, we have the right to that. As human beings, we have the same equal rights as anybody else. And anybody who thinks different, let's not go there because I'm going to try to keep this PG today. I may end up failing it. Now, in 2016, GLAAD, by the way, is the largest LGBT non-governmental media monitoring organization. It is the largest gay rights group right now in the United States. Cher's son, Ches, is actually one of the directors of GLAAD at the moment. In 2016, GLAAD's media reference guide states that LGBTQ is the preferred initialism, being more inclusive of younger members of the communities who embrace queer as a self-descriptor. Okay, I'm going to go on a little rant here. Okay, I'm going to go on a little rant here. Sorry, hold on here. Okay, I'm going to highlight this the proper way. Okay. To all of you out there that say that people do not describe themselves as so-called queer, you're wrong. There are a lot of people out there that do call themselves queer. Now, I'm going to get onto this one after this because apparently there is some confusion. But the confusion is mostly among the uneducated so-called straight allies of YouTube. And we know what community they're in, and I'm here to set the record straight. But yes, there are people who identify as queer. I mean, I should know. Hell, I knew that even before reading this, but I had to have proof. Everybody wants proof. Here's your freaking proof. However, some people considered queer to be a derogatory term originating in hate speech and reject it, which is true, especially among the older members of the community. But I will say this. People can identify with whoever they want. And a word is only derogatory if you associate that term with something bad. However, if you can associate a word with something positive, then that word becomes positive, and hate loses its power over that word. Now, you can go back and forth in the books here, but like I said, if you make that word a positive light and a positive meaning, it won't matter who uses the word because it will still be seen in a positive light. Now, this part right here, we gonna get into it. I need something to drink because we gonna get into it right now. Oh boy. Variants. This is the fun part. Many variants exist, including variations that change the order of the letters, including LGBT plus, to encompass spectrums of sexuality and gender. Other common variants also exist, such as LGBTQIA. The A standing for asexual, aromantic, and agender. And LGBTQIA, where the plus represents those who are part of the community for whom LGBTQ does not accurately capture or reflect their identity. Longer acronyms have prompted criticism for their length. True, I just covered that. And the implication that the acronym refers to a single community is also controversial. I covered that too. Although identical in meaning, LGBT may have more feminist connotations than GLBT, as it places the L for lesbian first. LGBT may also include additional Qs for queer or questioning, sometimes abbreviated with a question mark, and sometimes used to mean anybody, not literally. LGBT, producing the variants LGBTQ and LGBTQQ. The order of the letters has not been standardized. Okay, so I want to make this another one because this is something that I wanted to show proof of. Okay, it doesn't matter how you pronounce the letters or where you place the letters. None of the letters have been standardized, meaning you can swap them back and forth. So if you have a problem with certain people saying, LGBTQ plus blah, 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 and I went blah, 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 okay? You're going to find that offensive? Well, blah, blah, blah to you too, okay? So blah, 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 blah. There is no standard order for the letters. You can place the letters anywhere you want and people will know what you're talking about. Why is it a big deal to you, being a straight person, care about how people say or pronounce our letters or put them out of order? There is no order. None whatsoever. Okay, so that argument is mute. Saying somebody can't pronounce something does not necessarily mean they don't support our cause or aren't even part of our cause. Let's just face it. Like I said, look how long these acronyms are getting. Yes, some people are going to get confused. Yes, some people are going to get messed up. Yes, some people may murder it along the way, but you know what? To the people that matter, we know what they're talking to, so you know what? Get off your high horse. Our community is not yours to question or to do whatever you want about, okay? Go. Move along. Stay on your side of your sexual preference and leave our sexual preference out of your fucking mouths. In addition to the variations between the positions of the initial L or G, the less common letters, if used, may appear in almost any order. For example, LGTB. Notice how the T is before the B. Is used, that is reversing the letters T and B. Longer initialisms based on LGBT are sometimes referred to as alphabet soup. Yeah, we know this one. Variant terms do not typically represent political differences within the community, but arise simply from the preference of individuals and groups. The terms here we go. Night, here's yours. Right here, girl. Pay attention. This one's for us. Well, not for us. Well, whatever. The term pansexual, omnisexual, fluid, and gender identified are regarded as falling under the umbrella term, and therefore are considered a part of the bisexual community. Now, like Knight said, poly is trying to be added. There are a couple more who want to be added to this because there are so many people who are gender free. There are so many people out there who don't identify with anything. Does that make them bad? No. Does that make them horrible people? No. whether you're polyamorous or you're pansexual or you're omnisexual or you're whatever sexual, it doesn't matter. You're still included. Some use LGBT plus to mean LGBT and related communities. LGBTQIA is sometimes used and adds queer, intersex, and asexual to the basic term. Other variants may have a U for unsure, a C for curious, another T for transvestite, a TS or 2 for two-spirit persons, or an SA for straight allies. Now, I don't believe SA should be in here, okay? I'm sorry. Well, I appreciate people who are straight and fight for our cause. But at the same time, I don't really think a lot of straight people understand what we go through, if that makes sense. Like, I'm happy we have straight allies, but they're never as vilified or whatever as we are. The inclusion of straight allies in the LGBT acronym has proven controversial, as many straight allies have been accused of using LGBT advocacy to gain popularity and status in recent years. And various LGBT activists have criticized the heteronormative worldview of certain straight allies. Some may also add the P for polyamorous, an H for HIV infected, or an O for other. The initialism LGBTIH has seen use in India to encompass the Hejra, third gender identity, and the related subculture. Adding the term allies to the initialism has sparked controversy, with some seeing the inclusion of ally in place of asexual as a form of asexual erasure. There is also the acronym quilt bag. Here's one for you, quilt bag. Okay, this is an acronym. Okay, talking about acronyms. This one is freaking awesome. I saw quilt bag and I about died from laughter. Quilt bag. I died from laughter because I think it is such the most. I don't know the word to say. I just found it completely freaking funny. Quilt bag. The acronym quilt bag refers to queer and questioning, unsure, intersex, lesbian, transgender, and two-spirit, bisexual, asexual, and aromatic, and gay, and genderqueer. Similarly, the LGBTIQA stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer questioning, asexual, and many other terms such as non-binary and pansexual. The plus after the A may denote a second A representing allies. In Canada, the communities is sometimes identified as LGBTQ2, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, queer, and two-spirit. Depending on which organization is using the acronym, the choice of acronym changes. Businesses and the CBC often simply employ LGBT as a proxy for any longer acronym. Private activist groups often employ LGBTQ+, whereas public health providers favor the more inclusive LGBTQ+, to accommodate twin-spirited Indigenous peoples. For a time, the Pride Toronto organization used the much lengthier acronym. I about died when I read this. I am so sorry, but I did. I about died when I said, oh my God, I am going to have to read this thing out. Okay, here it goes. And let me tell you, if I screw up, I am not apologizing for it. But here we go. We're going to give this a shot. LGBTQQ2SA, but appears to have dropped this in favor of simpler wording. But they appear to have dropped this in favor of simpler wording. I'm sorry. I looked at that and I was like, oh my God, what are these people doing to me? Margaret, yeah, I see that. I see you. Margaret, yeah, I understand that. I really do. It's kind of like a topsy-turvy thing because we do need straight allies and we do appreciate them. But at the same time, it's also, while they may try to understand it, they don't fully get the picture. If that makes sense, Margaret. I'm hoping that makes sense. Because when you have a child, who is gay and whatnot, you do know what they go through, but you still don't know what that momentum that they're going to go through later in life is going to be. I hope that makes sense because I'm not trying to diss the straight allies because I know a lot of them are great. I really do. I'm just trying to make sense where everybody can understand why there is such a division within our community about having straight allies and not having them. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. If that makes sense. And Night Runner. Oh, and to your other thing, Margaret. Yes, I do understand that people don't like the Q word. I understand that. My point is that whether or not people identify as queer or not, we should still not vilify them for that. We shouldn't leave them out of the community. Whether somebody identifies as an acronym that we don't like, we should still give them support. Because if we kick them out just because we don't like the acronym, we're no better than the bigots we're trying to educate and whatever. But yes, I do understand that a lot of people don't like the Q word. I'm probably going to end up starting a fight with a lot of people on this one, but that's okay. I always start fights with everybody. I always start fights. I have to take a break because that long word just ripped my throat out. Lord Almighty. Oh, and they get longer too, and more difficult. You shall see down at the bottom as we get to the bottom of this page. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to blow my screen up for that one because there's no way I could possibly pronounce the words on that one. The best thing that you can do, Margaret, is to love them unconditionally. That's the best thing that you can do. That's my advice. Just love them for who they are and just be by their side when things go downhill. I think I bored half of the people that came in here. Okay, we're going to continue on here. We don't have much more left, I hope. Okay, transgender inclusion. The term trans has been adopted by some groups as a more inclusive alternate to transgender, where trans without the asterisk has been used to describe trans men and women, while trans with an asterisk covers all non-cisgender or genderqueer identities, including identities, including transgender, transsexual, transvestite, genderqueer, gender fluid, non-binary. I wonder if I could say it. You know what? I've said it word. Gender fuck. I don't know what that is. I have to look that one up. We will open that because... Oh, it's a gender bender. Okay, a gender bender is a person who dresses up and acts like the opposite sex. Bending expected gender roles may also be called a gender fuck. I learned something new. We learned something new together, people. I did not know that. Okay, cool. I honestly did not know that. Genderless, gender, non-gendered, third gender, two-spirit, bigender, and trans men and trans woman. Likewise, the term transsexual commonly falls under the umbrella term transgender, but some transsexual people object to this. The LGBT term is an adaptation of the initialism LGB, which began to replace the term gay in reference to the broader LGBT community beginning in the mid to late 1980s. When not inclusive of transgender people, the shorter term LGB is still used instead of LGBT. I'm learning a lot today. Are we learning a lot, people? We are learning everything. We're just learning everything. Intersex inclusion. Those who add intersex people to the LGBT groups or organizing may use the extended initialism LGBTI. There are two initialisms. These two initialisms are sometimes combined to form the terms LGBTIQ. The relationship of intersex to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans and queer communities is complex. But intersex people are often added to the LGBT category to create an LGBTI community. Now we're gonna look this one up because we're learning today. Intersex people are individuals born with any of several sex characteristics, including chromosome patterns, gonads, or genitals that, according to the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, do not fit typical binary notions of male or female bodies. Oh, that's very interesting. We learned something new there too, didn't we? We really are in class. Maybe I should give everybody a test after this. Okay. Okay. But intersex people. Okay, some intersex people prefer the initialism LGBTI, while others would rather they not be included. Pano, if you're gonna type to me, honey, sweetie pie, you can say hello in the chat room, you little brat. Don't make me, boy, do not make me whip you. I will whip you. You cheeky. You know, when I get off of here, Daddy's gonna have a long talk with you, boy. Now I lost my. Now see, I lost my train of thought. God damn it! I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. I'm just gonna kill him. Okay, let me start all over again. Some intersex people prefer the initialism LGBTI, while others would rather that they not be included as part of the term. No, you don't have to leave. Oh my god. I'm just going to keep. Oh my god. Okay. Pato, stop being a little brat. And if any of you are wondering who that is, who I'm talking to, that happens to be my boyfriend. So yeah, he's being a brat at the moment. Would rather name. Okay, Emmy Keoma describes how inclusion of intersex and LGBTI can fail to address intersex-specific human rights issues, including creating false impressions that intersex people rights are protected. By laws protecting LGBT people, and failing to acknowledge that many intersex people are not LGBT. Organization Intersex International Australia, oh my God, say that 3 times fast, states that some intersex individuals are same sex attracted and some are heterosexual. But LGBTI activism has fought for the rights of people who fall outside of expected binary sex and gender norms. Julius Kegla of SIPD Uganda has written that while the gay community offers us a place of relatively safety, it is also oblivious to our specific needs. That is actually true with a lot of big organizations. That is so true when you are dealing with when you're dealing with any huge organization. Individual needs are actually, swept under the rug, which should not happen. Everybody should have a voice to be heard. They should be able to voice their concerns. Numerous studies have shown higher rates of same-sex attraction in intersex people. With a recent Australian study of people born with atypical sex characteristics, finding that 52% of respondents were non-heterosexual. Thus, research on intersex subjects has been used to explore means of preventing homosexuality. Okay, I want to know who's doing the research on this so I can find out wherever this guy is and beat some sense into him. And whether or not you define yourself as heterosexual or gay or lesbian, it doesn't matter who you identify with. You should still have the same rights as everybody else. As an experience of being born with sex characteristics that do not fit social norms, intersex can be distinguished from transgender. While some intersex people are both intersex and transgender. Well, that goes down a whole nother rabbit hole. I'm going to have to go down that rabbit hole. Is there a test? Okay. Yes, Pope. I am on Wikipedia because people want proof of what I was going to talk about tonight. I won't mention the people, but you know, there are some people out there that go, show me the proof, show me the proof. If it's not proof, you know, then it doesn't exist. So, you know, I'm going through the Wikipedia here. We're all learning something. We're all having fun. I'm going to about lose my voice here soon, but we're having fun. We're having fun. I've learned a couple things today. Okay, everybody just ignore Pope. No, I'm joking. Pope, I do know that, but this is as close as as close to the description of our community as a whole. Yes, anybody can edit the page, but it is spot on. I have not seen anything that does not stand out, except for what I'm going to come to very shortly, and that one I don't really want to do. That one I don't really want to do. I don't want to scroll all the way down to the page and read this long thing out. I can't pronounce half of it. I cannot pronounce half of what's on the bottom of this page. It's literal. Y'all see the nightmare we're coming to very shortly. Okay. The initialisms of LGBT or GLBT are not agreed by everyone that they encompass. For example, some argue that transgender and transsexual causes are not the same as that of lesbian, gay, bisexual people. This argument centers on the idea that being transgender or transsexual have to do with more gender identity, or a person's understanding of being or not being a man or woman, irrespective of their sexual orientation, which is true. LGBT issues can be seen as a matter of sexual orientation or attraction. These distinctions have been made in the context of political action in which LGBT goals such as same-sex marriage legislation and human rights works, which may not include transgender and intersex people, may perceived to differ from transgender and transsexual goals. A belief in lesbian and gay separatism. I was going to say spiritualism. Oops, that would have been a big boo-boo. Separatism. Where did I just see that one? Oh, not to be confused with the related lesbian separatism, holds that lesbians and gay men form or should form a community distinct and separate from other groups normally included in the LGBTQ sphere. While not always appearing of sufficient number or organizations to be called a movement, separatists are a significant, vocal, and active element within many parts of the LGBT community. In some cases, separatists will deny the existence of right to equality of bisexual orientations and transsexuality, sometimes leading public biphobia and transphobia. In contrast to separatists, Peter Tatchell of the LGBT human rights group Outrage argues that to separate the transgender movement from the LGBT would be political madness, stating that, Queers are like transgender people, gender deviant. We don't conform to traditional heterosexual assumptions of male and female behavior, in that we have sexual and emotional relationships with the same sex. We should celebrate our discordance with mainstream straight norms. And he has a point to this. When you literally separate yourself, now I'm going to go to this one and then I'll get to the point of their point. Well, I understand that they have this feeling that they're not being heard, that they believe their causes are different. If they become a separatist movement, they won't have that power backing them up. And if they don't have that power backing them up, like it said here, you're not going to have the numbers needed to make change that will benefit you. Do I believe that there should be a separatist? Not really. Like I said, once you have the basic rights to exist established, then you can focus on the fine-tuning everything else. You cannot just go, okay, well, we're going to put the right to exist on the back burner and go, well, we should have the right to, wear what we want, or we should have the right to do this. That doesn't work unless you have a foundation to build that upon. If you don't have that foundation, then everything that you want to change can easily be picked apart bit by bit to a point that there is literally nothing left. We have seen this happen before. We have seen this happen before. When you do not have a foundation, it's like the same thing with political groups. If you don't have a foundation for it or for what you want, it falls apart and everybody is just left wondering what happened. And once again, that brings us back to what I said earlier. United we stand, divided we fall. Of course, I think some people have too much time on their hands and they just want to bitch about everything. But that's neither here nor there. The betrayal of an all-encompassing LGBT community or LGBT community is also disliked by some lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. Some do not subscribe to or approve of the political and social solidarity and visibility and human rights campaigning that normally goes with it, including gay pride marches and events. I can understand on the gay pride thing. Some of them believe that grouping together people with non-heterosexual orientations perpetuates the myth that being gay, lesbian, bi, asexual, pansexual, etc., makes a person deficiently different from other people. Okay, I'm just going to put this out there, and I hope I don't offend anybody. We're all different from everybody. And depending on how different you are, you can be completely different from your own family. There is no... The word normal is a joke because there is no such thing as normal. We are all quirky, unique individuals. who have our good points and bad points. So I'm not sure if they meant that like I meant it or if they meant it something different, but we're all different. It doesn't matter what you believe, we're all different. And I'd never heard of that myth before. Although I could be wrong. These people are often less visible compared to more mainstream gay or LGBT activists, since this faction is difficult to distinguish from the heterosexual majority. It is common for people to assume all LGBT people support LGBT liberation and the visibility of LGBT people in society, including the right to live one's life in a different way from the majority. In the 1996 book, Anti-Gay, a collection of essays edited by Mark Simpson, the concept of a one-size-fits-all identity based on LGBT stereotypes is criticized for suppressing the individuality of all LGBT people. Like I said, we're all quirky, we're all different. Yeah, I see you, Mr. Cat Hat. So we're all learning something tonight. Oh, yeah, Margaret, I didn't even see your comment. But yeah, the more they stand together, the more they will get accomplished. Exactly. If you stray away and you worried about something else, yeah, I see you. I see you, Cat Hat. I'm going to beat you. If you stray away from the whole thing, everybody's going to be ignored. Everybody's not going to get what they want. You have to think of the bigger picture rather than what yourself, because as soon as you lay that down the foundation, like I said, you can go and worry about all the small bits later on because you'll have that foundation there. Writing in the BBC News magazine in 2014, Julie Bindel questions whether the various gender groupings now bracketed together share the same issues, values, and goals. Bindel refers to a number of possible new initialisms for differing combinations and concludes that it may be time for the alliances to be reformed or finally go our separate ways. Once again, that's a bad idea. Because if the organization gets too small, let's face it like this. Let's face it like this. Let's say you have 10 organizations. Each one of them, let me rephrase this. Let's say you have an organization that has 50,000 people. And then you create 10 different organizations that have 5,000 people. The one organization that has 50,000 people will be heard a lot louder than 10 organizations with 5,000 members each. Once the numbers drop and split off, they're easily more ignored than compared to an army. And I don't think people understand that. Now, here we go. We are at the end of our page, and I am going to show you this long ass big word when we get there. But here we go. Alternative terms. Queer. Many people have looked for a generic term to replace the numerous existing initialisms. Words such as queer, an umbrella term for sexual and gender minorities that are not heterosexual or cisgender, and rainbow have tried, but most have not been widely adopted. Queer has many negative connotations to older people who remember the word as a taunt and insult, and such negative usage of the term continues. However, many younger people also understand queer to be more politically charged than LGBT. SGM and GSM. An abbreviation for sexual and gender minorities has gained particular currency in government, academia, and medicine. It has been adopted by the National Institutes of Health, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and the UCLA Williams Institute, which studies GSM law and policy. Duke University and the University of California, San Francisco both have prominent sexual and gender minority health programs. An NIH paper recommends the term GSM because it is inclusive of those who may not self-identify as LGBT or those who have a specific medical condition affecting reproductive development. A publication from the White House Office of Management and Budget explains that we believe that SGM is more inclusive because it includes persons not specifically referenced by the identities listed in LGBT. And a UK government paper favors SGM because initials like LGBTIQ plus stands for term, especially outside the global north, are not necessarily inclusive of local understandings and terms used to describe sexual and gender minorities. An example of usage outside the global north is the Constitution of Nepal, which identifies gender and sexual minorities as a protected class. Rainbow has connotations that recall hippies. Oh, we all remember hippies, New Age movements, and groups such as the Rainbow Family or Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition. SGL, or same gender loving, is sometimes favored among gay male people of color as a way of distinguishing themselves from what they regard as a white dominated LGBT communities. Further umbrella terms. Some people advocate the term minority, sexual, and gender identities, MSGI, coined in 2000, so as to explicitly include all people who are not cisgender and heterosexual or gender, sexual, and romantic minorities, GSRM, which is more explicitly inclusive of minority romantic orientations and polyamory, but those have not been widely adopted either. Sorry. Other rare umbrella terms are gender and sexual diversities, GSD, MAGI, marginalized orientations, gender identities, and intersex, and MOGAI. MOGAI? I think it's MOGAI. Marginalized orientations, gender alignments, and intersex. In public health settings, MSN, men who have sex with men, is clinically used to describe men who have sex with other men without referring to their sexual orientation, with WSW, women who have sex with women, also used as an analog term. Now, I got to figure this one out. I do not. Okay, wait. How do you do that? Plus. Oh, wait. Oh, I figured it out. Figured it out. Woohoo. Okay. In the PFAFF was developed by Felicia Brown Action in 2010 at the Asia Pacific Games Human Rights Conference. This refers to those in the Rainbow Pacifica community that may or may not identify with the LGBT acronym. See, we're learning all kinds of stuff today. And that is the end of that. But so yeah, that's the end of that. So I'm joking. Nobody is going to take a test. I'm not going to be that mean. I'm not going to be that mean. But as you can see, there are so many acronyms for our community that it doesn't matter how you pronounce it. It doesn't matter. You can call it QBT, LGT, whatever. It doesn't matter. We won't get offended. We all know what you're talking about. But you all wanted a lesson about the acronyms. I gave you your lesson. Now you're probably all going to go have a headache for the rest of the night going, oh my God, this is too much to take in. Why did I listen to him? Kill me. But in seriousness, I hope that does help a lot of you. I'm going to be... I'm going to kill that cat. Yeah, pup, you always miss half. Oh, I muted my fucking microphone. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. So going back up, I need to stop hanging around people who mute their microphones all the time. I need to stop hanging people. I need to go meet new people. Okay, to the cat in the hat, yes. I covered my ass so I won't get struck with DMCA. The Pope and Sunshinery helped me with that. So there's no way I'm going to get in trouble. Now, if I didn't have their help, I would have gotten in trouble because, Mr. Cat in the Hat, you know what I'm like. To Night Runner, is your song a commercial song that you want? Like, is it done by a professional artist? Let's say Adele, Pink, um, Tupac. I'm around. I'm gonna beat you. Okay, Night Runner, if it is a commercial song, you will have to get a hold of the rights holder and you will have to go the legal route for it. Um, I I think it. Don't quote me, but I think depending, it's like I don't know. I don't want to say something and regret later on, but I do know you got to get a hold of the rights holder. It's the only way that you'll get. It's the only way that you'll be able to do it legally without getting copyright struck. But Sunshinery is right. There are a lot of sites that have music that you can use. Yes, and the Pope will be making me an outro too. So since I have an intro, he's got to make me an outro. But I do, um, but I will say this because I do have to go, and I don't want to go, but I do have to go here shortly, and I apologize for everybody. But I will say this: I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or comments, put them down in the box, and I'll answer them. If you want me to cover something else that people may not really know about, let me know. I'll cover that. And I'll be looking at some random news stories tonight to put up for tomorrow. I may go live tomorrow. I may go live tomorrow. It depends if I can find a topic or not. If I can find a topic, I will go live tomorrow and I will let you all know. But I do hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I appreciate you all for coming in. I will see you next time. And to those of you that I talk to regularly, I'll probably be bitching in your DMs momentarily. Okay, I'm going to say this, Margaret. Margaret, sweetie, I already got a plan to go live before Dottie because I do not want to overlap Dottie. Okay, I don't want to overlap her. Yes, Kat, I appreciate you. Yes, I understand that. I understand that. I usually do confer with people before I go live, so I'm not overlapping them. I don't want to take away views from people I appreciate. You go, Jackie, you go on too late before I do. Okay, you go on late. Okay, me overlapping you will never freaking happen. You go live when I am going to bed. Let me put it to you that way, okay? There is no way I'll ever go live when you're live. But I do have to go. So I hope you all enjoy your the rest of your night. Be safe and please, please be kind to everybody. I will see you all next